Welcome, everyone. We are live on the Energy Conference digital platform. And as you might have realized, we are bringing the live feed from the main hall where numerous panels are being handled today, as well as, of course, all importantly, we heard from the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago this morning, as well as kicking off the conference today was the CEO's panel, all the platinum sponsors of this event together discussing pressing issues around the energy transition globally, regionally, and of course here in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, it's my great pleasure to say good afternoon to you all. And during this lunch break here, we're going to be speaking to some of the very important energy players and participants here in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's my distinct pleasure to welcome you to our guests here live from the Hyatt Regency in Port of Spain, representatives of Massy Wood. I'd like to say a very good afternoon to two executives from the company and from the parent group. I'd like to say hello to Linzie Forrester, who is the president of Sustainability for Wood, and also we have right here, based in Trinidad and Tobago, Mala Baliraj, who is the CEO. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you.
It's really a pleasure to have you here. I'm not sure who to speak to first. Mala, maybe you can introduce a little bit about why you're here at the conference. And of course, our guest from abroad who's flown in specially, maybe you can introduce Linzie and bring it together.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So again, it's a pleasure. So Massy Wood we consider ourselves a key player in the energy services sector in Trinidad and Tobago. So for us, the energy conference is really a critical activity on a year-on-year basis. It's been 2 years since we've been out. So it's been really exciting, I think, for us to attend this year as well. And what we have this year, I would say, is mind the word again, transition, but we transition, and I think from the last 2 years being at home, coming out from virtual to person conference, and that for us is great. Linzie has joined us as the president of Sustainability for Wood, and in case you're not aware, Massy Wood is a 50-50 joint venture, so Wood is our parent company, and for us, the focus on this energy conference has a lot to do with supporting the energy transition. What is the role Massy Wood is seeing itself playing with both on a national level as well as a corporate international sector level. And for us, sustainability is a big conversation. It's part of what we're going to be doing for the next couple of years. It's the next direction of our business.
My understanding is, Linzie and Mala, is that the question of sustainability is even small service providers to larger projects need to demonstrate sustainability. So sustainability is not only in large projects, but also your sub-suppliers, and this is all under the microscope across the board for larger contracts. Can you explain a little bit about that trend internationally and how you might see that in the local and regional contexts?
You know, this is something that's moving really quickly. So from a macro level, we as a business, as a company, as a PLC, we're a big PLC. And we are now really scrutinized on our ESG and sustainability credentials from a range of stakeholders. And over the last 24 months, 2 to 3 years, we are really increasingly having to have a strong narrative in our sustainability program and our ESG risks to get capital over the line to make the business grow. Now, that's going to be impacted by everything that we do, from the suppliers we use to what we do for the clients and how we deliver it. So when we come to a project level, the things that we do count.
So Linzie, let me ask you, from the point of view of your position as sustainability, does that mean that as a policy within Wood, you are setting out international policies, and now here we are in alignment with that, and the scrutiny over sustainability, therefore, is being harmonized at the local level and aligned? Is that what's happening? And how are you doing it?
So how we're doing it isn't necessarily setting a sustainability policy. What we're trying to achieve is a change in mindset, and that isn't any one policy. So from an enterprise corporation, we're embedding sustainability into all of our processes and policies, and particularly implementing, well, what do we want to be as a business in the future? John Wood Group used to be pretty much upstream oil and gas. And over the last few years, we've really integrated the principles of sustainability into our business model. And that is changing the way changing the way that we do things and changing the types of projects and support that we're able to offer to our clients, because we see ourselves with a really big opportunity.
So Mala, let me ask you, does that mean that, for example, a contract comes to you or is accepted with your company, and then is it that you need to advise your client and put into place the sustainability parameters for the overall project? Or are clients coming to you with that in place? To what extent are you leading local content and sustainability through your business?
So I think there's a lot of awareness to be raised around sustainability for Trinidad. People are just assuming we're energy services. So what is the role you're playing in sustainability? And for us, it's two-pronged, actually. One, it is us as a business. We subscribe to, I would say, the international benchmarks set around sustainability. So we are interested in the environment, the S&DG, the social and the governance aspect. But we're also a provider, a service provider. So a lot of our clients are looking towards being sustainable businesses, having sustainable projects. We provide solutions, right? And so we do engineering. Now, from the engineering stage of a project, you want to be considering sustainability. You do want to be considering things like low carbons and all the opportunity that comes along with sustainability is part of our business. So when I say two-pronged, one, it's us, ourselves. Are we walking the talk? Are we a sustainable organization? Are we doing the things that we can stand up against the world for? But also, it's what we're going to be providing. If you look at Trinidad and Tobago and the energy landscape, a lot of this conversation is going to be about decarbonization. You've heard this morning several times, Trinidad is referred to as mature assets. That easily means that we now need to modify these assets to become low carbon. That's what we see Massy Wood doing. Right now, we're supporting all our clients in building and expanding their assets. When it comes to shifting that focus and becoming energy transition companies focused on low carbon emission, that's where we're going to play a role as well. So it's in the project phase, but it's also in us, our DNA, our blueprint, what we see ourselves as.
My understanding is that internationally, with the mandate for lowering carbon emissions, there is a phase called the transition phase, let's say, where societies, businesses, communities should not be theoretically impacted negatively through the transition, so that the world moves in more comfortably rather than dramatically into the greener world. How do you see that unfolding? Because as you said, there's the educational component within business, but isn't that also in tandem with the public? For example, here in Trinidad and Tobago, bringing up awareness at a broader level that is beyond, let's say, an ad that goes green, but actual tangible, practical applications in everyday life. Where do you see your role in that, and the projects you're talking about, building that in for the public?
Yeah, so I think it's an important role that corporate organizations have. And I would go so bold to say the energy sector has an obligation to lead that conversation in Trinidad. So, this morning, again, Dax mentioned that, are people taking the energy transition seriously in Trinidad? In Trinidad, we sometimes need a compelling reason to pay attention to something. So you talk about COP26 and, globally, we have a challenge. Is it impacting us in the day-to-day? And that's why I say we're in the educational fields. It starts with our employees. How are employees aware of, what is our role? How are we changing? How are we moving to energy transition? What's going to happen in Trinidad? What's the impact to Trinidad? So for me, our obligation sits with starting with our employees, making sure they take that back home. I have young kids, and for them, without being educated about it, it's in their narrative, it's in their rhetoric, it's the conversations they're having with their friends. They're making career decisions around, what's going to be sustainable in the world in the future. And I think for Trinidad, we may take seriously, or we now need to take quite seriously, that we have to continue the conversation beyond oil and gas, beyond the confines of our businesses, out into our public spaces. So it's a huge job I think we have.
So Lindsay, you had mentioned that at your level internationally, as partners with Massy Wood, you have for some years now been making a transition. Can you give us a sense, your impression, having listened to speakers today, of where you think we are at as a country in terms of our energy transition? You'd be able to gauge on the timeline where we might be.
I believe that the fact that you have the players in the room, that you're holding events like this. I mean, this is unprecedented. We're just coming out of a COVID restriction. We have the Prime Minister and the ministers that are attending a conference speaking passionately about this. I think there is an authentic beginning, but I think this is early on in our transition. And I think, as Mala was saying, there is an education piece. We need to continue to come back to understanding that we're a business in an economy. The economy is attached to a society, and that society shares this big, blue, beautiful planet. And we have an obligation and a responsibility as a business to help to protect that. And any shocks in any of those systems then will act on our business. All these things are interconnected. And I'm concerned that that level of education awareness is not where it needs to be yet. So we're on the beginning of that transition.
Of this journey. So in a sense, today's conference, well, over the next 3 days, is really actually a very exciting moment in Trinidad and Tobago's development, because it's almost like a line in the sand that this is the start of the race. This is the line where you cut the ribbon, and but my impression is that many of the companies, this, for instance, with Massy Wood, the ideas are well entrenched in the business already. So it's a sense of unfolding and knowing that your colleagues are also on the same page now. And as you say, government is looking at things now from a new point of view, perhaps.
It is, but the collaboration in that room, if we can join together all of these technological solutions, working with bold clients, making bold decisions, we could unlock so much potential. And we don't even know what we've got. Trinidad and Tobago have got some really excellent skills. We've got fantastic people. We've got a fantastic infrastructure. We need to build on that. And this is an evolution, not a revolution. This is going to take some time, but we have a really strong foundation to work from it. And that's really exciting. And the work that, Mala, you're doing is fantastic. You know, we're setting ourselves up for a future, but it's not our future. It's our children's future.
Yeah. As you mentioned, you have little ones.
Yes.
So in closing, can I ask what is on your wish list from the point of perhaps a regulatory framework or other sort of macro policies that will help as an individual business your progress in this? What's your wish list at the level of administration and perhaps government policy?
I think mine is to adequately internalize those costs which have been always external. We've always thought we've got a free environment, we've got free water, we've got free this. We haven't. And to cost those into that economic model would be fantastic. And I guess if it was just one wish, it would be get a good price for carbon emissions. And that carbon emission price is reflected in the decisions that we make.
Mala, your wish list?
Yeah, I would say if we're talking about that national level, my wish list would be that we're more agile in this country when it comes to making change. There's an opportunity we have here. The world is pushing forward. And I think Trinidad and Tobago needs to make the right policy decisions. We need to be agile. We need to be quicker. We need to move away from, well, it's a government thing, and so it will take long. I think really what we need is quicker, faster, more agile opportunities to help the entire country move forward on this.
Thank you very much, Mala Baliraj, CEO of Massy Wood, and visiting us internationally to be part of the Energy Conference this year. Thank you very much, Linzie Forrester, who is the President of Sustainability Wood. Thank you for joining us today. And here we are. As I told you earlier, we are beginning for the first time ever at the Energy Conference through the live feed, bringing you interviews with some of our participants. And as you can see there from Linzie, visitors, international visitors will bring their knowledge to the conversations that are taking place here over the next 3 days. We'll be back with more in just a little while.